Welcome on into another edition of Wildcat Wonder. I am your host, Sarah Kezele, and we are joined by an incredibly special guest who, quite frankly, does not need my introduction, Bob Elliott. But if you're okay with it, I'll just do the introduction pretty quickly. Is that good with you, Bob?
Go for it, Sarah. I'm easy.
All right. Let's run through the accolades real quickly. We'll keep it brief. A two-time All-American for Arizona men's hoops, 1973 to 1977, played basketball in Tucson, and then a little bit professionally, made Tucson his home after wrapping up his basketball career, and he has been in Tucson ever since. Super involved, not just with Arizona basketball or Arizona athletics, just on campus as a whole. And that is why he is going to be the host of Arizona's virtual homecoming, the university's virtual homecoming, which runs November 12th through 14th. And we're going to get into those details in a little bit, Bob. But first of all, how are you doing? How are you hanging in during the wildest year most of us have ever experienced?
There's been one consistent thought that you hear from everybody: get me to 2021. I think everybody's done with 2020. Scary because we still have, month and a half or so to go. So let's just hope that nothing crazy happens next month and a half. Get to 2021 and start all over.
Indeed. I could not agree with you more, Bob. Let's just get to 2021. But we do have some really exciting stuff happening at the University of Arizona this week. Like I mentioned, a 3-day all virtual homecoming, which you are emceeing, Bob. So what can Wildcats who are interested in this event expect?
First of all, from my side of it, it was fun. Just picture that you're laying down tracks for a day, 3 days. That's about 12 different tracks to kind of preview what's going to happen. It's going to be as close to being homecoming without you actually being on campus, which causes some issues. I know for myself, and I said it in the piece, that what I used to like about homecoming, first of all, homecoming is always in the fall, and it's more football oriented.
Right.
It's not basketball related. So as a basketball player, you're allowed to walk around and see the alums and take in the atmosphere. I love the parade, always have. And I will miss the Black Alumni's chicken and waffles with the step show that's been attended for decades by every president of the U of A, because it's a large crowd and we have a good time.
Now, you mentioned the U of A's Black Alumni chapter. I know that's something you are heavily involved with. I want to know why it's so important to you to use the resources you have available to you now to help the next generation.
Well, it's a cliche, but the next generation is what's going to help all of us. And some of us who are now on Medicare, I can't even believe I said that, but yes, we rely on those younger folks to take care of business and bring things forward. So it's just something where, there's a saying, people helped me, helped my wife going through school. But people might not realize that when I was in school, the NCAA did not allow student athletes to work. So we got married. It was after my sophomore year, freshman year in college. We're living over at Christopher City, 3401 North Columbus. I'll never forget the address, apartment 34D. Rent was $125. And you're scrambling to get that because you had no way to supplement that money. So knowing that there are other people that are struggling, trying to get the degree, you just want to help them. And then our whole thing has always been, if somebody helps you, don't forget that, and you reach back and help somebody.
Very well said. Very good advice for everybody watching. Well, let's get back to Arizona basketball for a second.
All right.
The women's program specifically, because I know you've been around both the men's and women's programs since the end of your basketball career, and Adia Barnes is about to head into her 5th season as the head coach of the women's program, on the rise in Tucson. But you remember Adia as a player, not just for her skill, but also for bypassing you in the record books. Isn't that right?
That is correct. So if you go into the record books, it's going to start picking up with Ari McDonald now. but there have only been 3 players to ever score more than 2,000 points as a Wildcat. Sean Elliott, and again, we always have to say not related, but we're not sure. We don't help the situation by calling each other cuz, but that's okay. That's another issue. Then myself and Adia, when she was going through, she actually passed my total. And probably this year, Ari McDonald will pass her total with the females. But, I remember Adia. I remember her more so having a daughter that played basketball, to just know how she carried herself, that it's okay to be aggressive, to throw some elbows, to be competitive, and still be a lady. And now she's sitting there with Salvo. They're married. She's had her daughter. They have 2 children. I've loved watching her progress and mature and be not only a great coach, but a great person.
Now, we can't talk Arizona basketball without talking about Lute Olson, your friend who died back in August at age 85. A tremendous loss for Tucson, for the University of Arizona, for the entire basketball community nationwide. How do you remember your friend, Lute Olson?
I remember Lute a couple different ways. The first way is when he was deciding whether or not to take this job. So Cedric Dempsey, who was the athletic director at the time, and Lute were sitting in McHale up through that top part. And I walked by and we were sitting down and I said, Lute, this is a great opportunity. Now, Freddie Snowden, who I played for, lit the fire. When Freddie was here, they had less than 1,000 people in Bear Down. He goes to McHale, we're selling it out. Then things tailed off. I said, Lute, all you have to do is relight the fire. You can go up 100 miles to the north to ASU, and they don't know what it is because they never had the fire lit. Here, you can relight the fire. And he came and did that. What I remember most about Lute, and again, I would see him not only as a former player, as a person in the program, but also as a broadcaster.
Right.
Lute was a teacher. He was a phenomenal teacher. And I think the reason why you see so many of his former players being coaches and on TV and broadcasting is because they know how to articulate the game, because they learned it from the master. I remember one practice, Lute was going over a zone defense. This might be way too far in the weeds for folks. Oh, some people might like it. And if a ball was in a certain place, all 5 people had to be at a certain place on the floor, so that the person with the ball looked. He just didn't see one person. He didn't see 2. He saw 3 different people on his path to get to the basket. And Lute blew the whistle, made everybody freeze. I can't remember which player it was. He said, look where you're standing. You need to be 1 more foot to your left so it looks right. That's a teacher.
Now, I know that Lute Olson wasn't your coach. You were already through the program by the time he came to Tucson. But in watching him, either as an analyst or just as a friend who knew the man, what did you learn from Lute Olson?
Well, it was fun to watch him teach on the floor, which helped me as a broadcaster to be able to bring certain things out as to what he's doing and why. But then there's also maybe the bigger aspect of Lute is his community involvement and the things he and Bobby did in this community to raise funds, raise awareness, and that's accepting the responsibility that comes with being a public figure. Now, granted, okay, the guy had the debonair look. He had the hair with no hairs out of place. I mean, he had the look, that helps. But he made that commitment to Tucson, to the U of A, to Southern Arizona, and it definitely helped.
Not one hair, ever.
Ever. That's what was so great about when they won the championship. And Bennett Davidson went there and messed his hair up. I think that was the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Wildcat fans knew if Lute was going to let that happen, he must have been in a really good mood.
Yeah. Just won a national championship. I think, Bennett, go ahead. You can just do what you want with my head, okay?
This one time, though. Just once.
Yeah. Let's don't make it a habit.
Exactly. Well, just a couple more questions left for you, Bob. I so appreciate your time. You, as a young student athlete at the University of Arizona, you studied accounting. You knew that accounting is what you were going to do after your basketball career was over, which you are still doing to this day. You've got Elliott Accounting running. Is it nearly 40 years strong now?
1983 is when I started, so it's getting pretty close to that 40-year mark.
Incredible. So my question to you is, what advice do you have for young student athletes or just young people in general who think they like the path they're on right now, but maybe won't get to do it forever? Like basketball for you, you had your playing career, but you didn't get to do it forever. What advice do you have for young people who maybe need to set themselves up for far down the road starting now?
Sarah, a couple thoughts go through my mind. The first one is, there's a saying, an old saying, if you do something you enjoy doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So I usually, when I've gone around talking to high school kids, I tell them, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I enjoy doing? Based on that, let that determine what your studies will be in college. And you have a better chance to enjoy your experience. The second thing that comes around is, don't pigeonhole yourself. Give yourself as many options as possible. And I'll take my own life for an example. So I finished my bachelor's at the U of A, then came time to decide on a master's. So do I do a master's in accounting, which is 30 credits, or do I do an MBA, which is 50 credits? Well, the MBA gives me way more options than a master's in accounting. So try to always make yourself versatile with be able to have more options.
Going back to homecoming, which again, you are hosting a 3-day event on November 12th, 13th, and 14th. Do you have any special homecoming memories that are near and dear to your heart?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say I said the parade and being able to be in the parade with one year we actually had 2 of our children with their families riding in it with us. I just love the parade. It's just something about it. I just put on my calendar. I know that the parade is 4 hours prior to game time. So regardless what time the TV folks decide the game's going to be, 4 hours before that's going to be the parade. That is probably what I'm going to miss the most, is the parade this year, because that you can't do virtually.
Yeah, sadly, a lot of really, really cool events that we will not get to experience in person this year. But I'm going to pull out the notes because I want to make sure I get this all correct. We do have a way for everyone to participate in virtual homecoming this year. All you got to do is register at arizonaalumni.com/homecoming. That is once you enter your information, and it's all free. That is where you can see the full schedule of events. We've got seminars. There's opportunity for one-on-one conversations. I know there's a virtual brunch for the young alumni, all kinds of opportunities from the 12th through the 14th, where, like you said, Bob, it won't be the same, but it'll be something. It'll be some way to connect with our fellow Wildcats, and hopefully it'll just make us that much more excited for homecoming in 2021, when hopefully we can all be in the same room again, be on the mall together again.
Well, one of the tags at the end of every day is bear down everywhere.